According to Pat Robinson, 9/11 happened because of you gays.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because because gays, we have, there's so much power. Like, you know, gays can cause the towers to fall, but not be able to marry,
don't
the
tell me
love
this.
of their life.
Tell me this. Help me understand. Let's say being gay is a sin. How is that the sin that causes the towers to fall and these 3,000 people to die, but slavery is not anywhere in that sin? Killing and raping and all of these grand things that America has done since its founding has.
Yeah, that's part of the bullshit, right? Because let's say that homosexuality is a sin. Let's just say that it is a sin, right? I'm not saying that I agree with it, but let's just say that it is. Homosexuality is a sin. So is adultery. So is, coveting, jealousy. So is a whole bunch of other things. But those sins don't stop you from leading your local church. They don't stop you from, um, undo struggles as you run for public office, but homosexuality does. So let's talk about how uneven the sins are. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of the bullshit. Like, okay, if homosexuality is a sin, so is the deacon who's banging everybody except his wife, right? But the deacon is still allowed to lead prayer, and he's still allowed to give the sermon in, at Sunday service, but not Twan, the gay guy who's in love with his partner of 20 years. Like, that's...
Well, we will let Twan lead the church choir, and he can plan the church fashion show for Easter.
Right.
We do it better.
Speaking of Twan, like, because the black church is actually really vocal about being anti-gay. Relationship with the black church or with God as a whole.
Key, you're going to have to repeat that because the devil is busy and we couldn't hear that. So,
the devil don't want us to progress. The liberal agenda is being blocked by the devil. Okay, so how does the black church specifically, I mean the church in general, has the reputation of being very anti-homosexual. How does that affect your relationship with the church and with God even further than the church? Because I believe your relationship with the church can be different from your relationship with God.
It does not affect my relationship with God. It just affects my relationship with the church. Okay? And it's not just the whole gay thing. It's the whole lot. It's the whole big thing. If you would have had me on last week, I could have explained it, but we're not going to go there. But my relationship with God is what it is. It's strong and it's still the same. The problem is the church and the people who lead the church and the people who are in the church. That's my problem. The people in it. That's it.
Should I? Who's
go ahead, Dio.
I mean, I've never identified as Christian, so I'm coming from a different place here. I'm personally an initiated member of the Afro-diasporic religion of Santeria. And as far as my relationship with the church, it is one of caution, but it is also one of hope. Because while I do see people constantly attacking gay members of society and criticizing what they choose to do with their life, I also see people like our good friend Miss Whitney Bond, who is a dedicated dedicated advocate for LGBT people, LGBT rights, everything like that. So as far as the black church and the Christian church is related in general, I am hopeful because what I am seeing is progress as far as other people are concerned. Um, I mean, as far as my own personal relationship with God, the religion that I subscribe to and believe in and actively practice makes no discriminations against gays. In fact, we are the majority in the religion. There's more gay men and gay women practicing this religion than there are straight people. And I mean, I would also say, if you're a gay person who is, or even any member of the LGBT community who is subscribing to Christian doctrine and that faith, just be very cautious and careful, because what I see a lot happening is self-denial and self-hatred. And to me, those two things are the biggest sin.
And you know what comes to mind, and you guys remind me in case I forget, because we got a lot of tweets coming in that I want to read. But what comes to mind is Delivered, which became a social media joke. But Andre Caldwell, who that was his whole thing. It was self-denial. It was self-rejection. It's feeling like you have to become something in order to be accepted by the God who created and loved you. And I don't even know if he's doing this for the God who created and loved him or for the church that he wants to be socially accepted into.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, for me, it's really, if you look at it like this, you look at all religions across the board. Obviously, they have their differences. Obviously, they have their similarities. But what is the one thing that they hold true? It is that the God and or gods they serve are infallible, meaning anything they create or do is without mistake.
Mm-hmm.
To me, to question your identity and to question the self of sense that you have and you as a person is to directly offend the divinity that you serve.
Ooh, wait, time out. Rewind. Repeat that for the cheap seats.
To question the self that you have, to question the identity that you have, is to directly offend the divinity that you serve. You cannot in one breath say that the God and or gods that I serve are without mistake, are without fault, but then at the same time say, me, who they created, is a mistake. I personally feel like the number one blessing people disregard is your sense of self.
Ooh.
The number one blessing you have is your own self, your own identity. You as a person are created and exist. How dare you speak back to the divinity that you serve and say, who you created me to be is wrong, and I am going to fight you until the very end and correct that mistake. Right. Meanwhile, you say in the same exact breath, he, oh God, I serve, the Almighty, the Most High, is without fault. So you must be serving a different God than who you are praying to.
Angie, did you tweet that?
Listen, I tried to tweet it, but I couldn't even, I definitely had the phone up, and I was trying to tweet what he was saying, but it hit me right here. Like that.
Dio, say the beginning part, that first phrase one more time so Angie can get it and tweet it, because that's good stuff. That's what
Yeah.
I believe what I said was to reject and or disregard the sense of self and the self identity that you have is to directly offend the God and or divinity that you serve.
That's it. That'll preach. All right, social media. Jason said, well, one thing you have to consider is that the LGBT activist movement isn't opening to black folks. So, and you hear a lot of those same complaints about the feminist movement, how they don't consider black females' needs in the mainstream movement. Let's see. Garden Owl tweeted out and retweeted some great lesbian, some great information about lesbians using condoms on sex toys from the CDC. So you can check that out on our Twitter timeline at Real Drunk Show. At Real Drunk Show. Jason also said it's hard to even deal with issues of sexuality when it's hard just being a black person in America. And that goes back to when we were talking about Walter Scott and just trying to survive on the street. You know, you're just trying to drive down the street. You can't even deal with the fact that you're black and gay.
Right. And you know what? Oh, go ahead, Kim.
Oh, last thing. Jason also said that he dealt with the whole sexuality and church issue by finding a gay-affirming church where I also get fed spiritually. And that is Impact Church in Atlanta.
I think that's